Hey, it's Brewbird. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 of the most common gin botanicals. And if you're interested in gin and distillation, you can find more cool drink stuff at www.missbrewbird.com. So, let's go! You can't have a gin without juniper berries. Otherwise, it's just some strange flavored spirit rather than a gin. Although they are called berries, juniper berries are not true berries. Junipers are conifers, which are cone-bearing seed plants like cedar trees, cypresses, pine trees, and fir trees. The juniper berry is a female seed cone where the cone scales are fleshy. As the scales grow, the scales merge together to give a berry-like appearance. There are over 50 different species of juniper, and they're practically found worldwide. While this incredible diversity of juniper can seem awesome for gin distillers, much of this diversity is useless to distillers, since many juniper varieties are bitter and/or toxic to humans. For gin drinkers, Juniperus communis, or the common juniper, is the most important species of juniper. The plant is dioecious, meaning that there are lady plants and male plants. So for the female plant to bear cones, the pollen from the male plant must make it over to the female. Without the wind, the common juniper wouldn't be so common. The common juniper berry takes 18 to 36 months to mature, turning from green to a dark bluish purple color. As the primary flavoring in gin, it has a lot of aromatic oils, which include alpha and beta pinene, which give off resinous and pine-like aromas. Think of Christmas trees. It has myrcene, which is common in hops and has earthy and musky notes. It has saponine, which has a black pepper aroma. And it has limonene, which give off citrus aromas. Juniper berries are rarely commercially grown and are instead wild harvested, meaning that local pickers forage for berries on wild trees throughout the harvest season. Interestingly, there can be different crops of berries at different ages on the same tree. So you might see dark, soft, and ripe berries right beside green, unripe, hard berries. Young green berries haven't developed the essential oil content that we want as gin distillers. So to produce a more consistent gin, it's recommended that these young green berries are picked up. Some companies don't do this since it's more time consuming and also more expensive to sort the berries. Upon receiving a shipment of juniper berries, the berries should be visually checked. This involves taking a few random samples from the various berry lots. The berries should be consistent in color and size. Ideally, berries should not be too hard, as this can indicate poor storage conditions, or an older harvest, or immature berries, or low berry moisture. Rather, it should be easy to squeeze individual berries between 2 fingers to break open their flesh and expose the sticky resins inside. We want consistency in our gin distillation, and this applies to our juniper berries too. So berries that are from different regions can have different growing conditions, which will affect their oil content, which will affect the gin flavor. As with everything in distillation, consistency is key, and juniper berries are no exception. Juniper from different regions, procured from different companies, and/or harvested by different people, may not perform the same way in the distillery. Growing conditions affect berry oil content, which in turn affects gin flavor. This means that juniper lots can greatly differ from each other. When juniper berries are received at the distillery, the berries should be stored at around 4 to 12 degrees Celsius, with a relative humidity of 50 to 75%, to maintain berry quality without risking mold issues. However, juniper berries should be used in production as soon as possible, since their quality will decline over time. Coriander is almost as common as juniper when it comes to gin, with the botanical appearing in about 9 out of 10 gins. Coriander is an annual plant closely related to fennel and carrots. Coriander grows throughout the northern hemisphere, but the coriander for gin usually comes from places such as India, Morocco, and Russia. Coriander plants grown in warmer climates tend to produce larger seeds, which typically contain lower volatile oil contents, up to 0.4%. Conversely, plants grown in more temperate regions produce smaller seeds with higher oil contents, up to 1.8%. The fruits of the plant are in fact the seeds, which are rich in linalool and pinene, which have citrusy flavors which lean toward lemon. Coriander pairs well with the sensory notes in juniper, which is why you'll often find them in combination together. Citrus fruit is really a group of botanicals since it encompasses lemons, limes, grapefruits, and more. For the purposes of gin distillation, the skin of the citrus fruit is the most important since it's where most of the essential oils are located. While some distillers use the whole citrus fruit, this is rare. Let's look at the citrus peel or skin. This is the pericarp, which can be divided into exocarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. The outermost layer of the skin, or pericarp, is the exocarp, which is the zest, where the bulk of volatile oils reside. The major oil constituent here is limonene, which is responsible for the citrusy aromas. It also contains linalool, myrcene, and alpha and beta pinene, which, if you recall, were also found in the previously mentioned botanicals. Harvesting of citrus peels for the gin industry is mostly done by hand, with harvesters trying to take off the peel in one large piece, which will become a ribbon. These ribbons may be further processed into kibble, which is the most commonly used form of citrus in the gin industry. Very often confused with Ceylon cinnamon or true cinnamon, Cinnamomum cassia comes from the bark of a tree native to China and Southeast Asia and is sometimes referred to as Chinese cinnamon. The interior of the tree bark contains the spice, so it must be carefully peeled off the tree in thin layers and dried. In North America, cassia bark is sold in grocery stores as cinnamon, but again, it is not true cinnamon. Compared to true cinnamon, cassia is much cheaper and considered to be lower in quality. The bark is thicker and rougher compared to true cinnamon, and cassia bark can have a bit of a one-note aroma, so some distillers opt to use the more expensive true cinnamon. Also, true cinnamon has a higher quantity of eugenol, the primary aromatic component of cloves, while cassia has coumarin, which has a more vanilla-like scent. However, the aromas from both cassia and cinnamon are powerful, so very little is needed to make an impact in gin. Orris fruit comes from the dried root of the Iris germanica flower. It takes several years for the roots of the flower to grow big enough for harvest. The roots are largely harvested by hand, and the drying process can take up to 5 years. Orris root has a woodsy and slightly floral aroma and is mainly used in gin because it is believed to be a fixative, which means it helps to retain or fix all the different aromas in a gin to the liquid. It's debatable whether orris root really is a fixative, but it is used in the perfume and gin industry for this purpose. Similar to coriander, Angelica is related to the carrot family. Angelica that is used in gin belongs to a single species known as Angelica archangelica, which is native to Northern Europe. These days, Angelica is cultivated for its stems and roots. The stems are candied while the roots are commonly used in gin. The roots are harvested and dried before being used in gin and have herbal, earthy, and woody aromas. They're often used in small amounts in gin, so you'll be hard-pressed to find a gin where Angelica root is a noticeable or featured flavor. Similar to orris root, Angelica root is mainly used as a fixative, but also like orris root, it's debatable whether it truly acts as a fixative. I hope you enjoyed learning about 6 of the most common gin botanicals. In the meantime, please support the channel by leaving a comment down below, giving this video a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button for more distilling and brewing videos. This is Brewbird, sending good vibes your way. I'll see you next time!